everybody, watch the West Ham Network. It is Saturday morning. A grey, very grey London stadium welcomes you. Hopefully, not so much doom and gloom on the pitch, please. As West Ham entertain Everton later on at the London Stadium, 3 p.m. kickoff. We'll be doing the watch along and stuff and starting 11 show, all that type of stuff as per usual. But you lucky buggers, as always, anyone new to the channel, what we try and do before a home game is we do it live here at London Stadium. So if you are fortunate enough to get to the game, fantastic. If not, at least you get to feel like you are there in a weird way. And then afterwards, Anton and myself will be doing a live reactions after the game as per usual. Me live from the London Stadium. If you see me walking about, come and say hello and come and have a chat about what we think. Hopefully off the back of a victory. Doesn't matter what you think about it. I think, at West Ham, fans, we want to win a game. Even if the permutations of what could be if we lose the game, I'm a West Ham fan. I want to win the game regardless of what happens. But hopefully, as we said, we've got a bit of an injury crisis. It seems 3 definitely out, with potentially another 2, with doubts on Todibo and Bowen. At the starting 11 show, I tried to put some various permutations together to see what we could do if we are Songs, Todibo and Bowen. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Everton themselves have got a bit of an injury crisis as well. So, usual suspects on a grey day. Please, West Ham, give us. Yeah, it is very grey, as you can see. No, can I do that? Yeah. You can see, very grey. When it's a little bit nippy because Bum's got a coat on. I don't usually wear a coat, as you know. But there's a nip in the air. And, hopefully some progressive, fast-paced, tick-attack of football will warm us all up. Paul says, I never want West Ham to lose, but we are kicking the can down the road. Sloppy Gravy is not... That's a good name. Sloppy Gravy is not the right man for us, and the owners need to act fast. Something which doesn't necessarily happen. As I think Holly did a show about it the other day, where we had... she was talking about the longevity of West Ham managers under the current ownership, and they don't like to do it. They like to hang on. And as I said, and as I was saying this was it yesterday about the video, and someone commented, we talk about back and forth on comments about Premier League football. Having Premier League is the mainstay for this club to survive at the moment in terms of his expenditure and stuff. So maintaining Premiership is the number one thing to do every year. And as I said, the club tend to budget for 11th, I believe. That's not a secret. Sean's mentioned it many a time. So unless that gets into real threat, they won't make a change, I don't think. But look, football is a funny old game, according to the late great Jimmy Greaves. Not sure how popular this is, but Potter for me, as we don't like paying comp. There's a lot out there. As I said, I spoke about a few managers or head coaches we've apparently put background checks on, the likes of Roger Schmidt, Kasper Houston, and Stefan Hoynes. But the thing with Hoynes is you have to pay compensation. But I think he's probably the best bet for me. Potter, yes, I can see that. But did a great job at Brighton. Not such a great job at Chelsea. But then is West Ham sort of more in between a Brighton and a Chelsea? Are we in the middle in terms of expectations of fans and expenditure? I would assume so. What we got here? Lots of people say good morning, Stan. Good morning to you. Haven't seen Jared yet. No. Ludders. As I said, when I watch the starting 11 show, I've got a feeling that they're sort of preempting the fact that Bowen's not going to be playing today, with Thomas Suchek coming out and saying, "Oh, it's about leadership and yada yada yada." I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas Suchek is captain today, and that would mean that obviously Bowen wouldn't be available. We don't know. Why can't Jeff one good season with no crisis going? We had a couple of them, although the crisis was what's the name? The crisis was what's it called? The COVID crisis. Yeah, that was a good season. But that's not West Ham, is it, Ladders? You've been a West Ham fan long enough. It is a real life EastEnders, and I think if you embrace that, you don't That's like me. That's people say, "Why are you so optimistic all the time?" Because it's never been different for me. It's always been that sort of EastEnders soap opera manner. You know, you got to think even with the Redknapp era, you had the whole Redknapp stuff. You had loads of times that a lot of the team were like banged up and got done for drinking and whole Paolo Canio and not voids of, you know, it's the whole thing's a soap opera. And that's why if you have that in the back of your mind, you can't get really as frustrated as some people do. And I think that's probably why I'm so always upbeat, because anything can happen here today. I was listening to Tony Cottee on TalkSport, and he was like, "Oh well, Everton. This could be a 3-3. This could be a 4. You never know. Football is funny, and sometimes when the chips are down, that's when West Ham come up fighting. And you know, if we are having up to 5, if we've got 5 players out, you know, someone like Tommy Soucek might end up bagging the 90th minute winner. You know, bundling Andy Irvine might come in. Luis Guilherme might play. You know, Somerville might have a stormer. Antonio might. You know, anything's possible. Karina, good morning to you. Morning, Phil. Morning, Russ. 3 points needed, but I can see a Deitch masterclass. They have somewhat had a bit of a turn, although they did lose to Southampton at the last weekend, and you know they do have a tendency of going, you know, in front and then losing. They're going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game for sure. Is Lopetegui young, or is it his incompetence? I don't think it's actually incompetence. I mean, you know, it's not like he's not an inexperienced manager or head coach. I think we have been unlucky. Let's be honest. You know, people criticising the signing of Fulcrum, but you know, the last 3 or 4 years he's had almost no injuries at all. And literally, he comes to West Ham within the space of like 3 weeks. He's had an injury which probably could put him out until the new year. On top of that, you've got a changing of the guards. As I said, as I was saying the other day, you know, I think most coaches would struggle with the turnaround of players we've had. But it had to be done. And that's why my whole thought was short-term pain for long-term gain. This had to be done now. We could have just carried on and changed 2 or 3 players each year, still have an old squad. I know it's still an old squad, but this next summer coming, we'll have basically all the 30-year-olds, apart from Wes Fodringham, will be out of contract. Antonio, Ings, Cresswell, Soufal and Fabianski. That totally makes your squad a lot younger if you fill the bench with youth team players or younger alternatives. So it's as I said, I still think it's a transitional basis, and this year's not necessarily write-off, but this year is that when you've ripped the band-aid off, when it's all a bit sore, and it's going to be a bit sore this year. But I think personally, I can see there being green shoots coming into next year, but that's small mercies to now, isn't it? The intro is more upbeat than that was our feeling. Good, that's all of the day. Good morning to you. Does not play neither current or potential end of. Hope you see Guilherme today. You could see Guilherme today. I think there is a possibility, particularly with Bowen out. He might decide to go with Somerville Guilherme. He might not. He might decide to go with, I mean, you know, where it's opportunity to bring in, for example, Somerville, he's tended to put Soler or Paqueta on that left-hand side. Now, it could be a case that we do the alternative. I have put a couple of suggestions together for Julien. One of them I think is quite a fun one, which involves Danny Ings starting. Why not? Brian Potter turned us down and said to be staying at the Phoenix Club. Who's cast? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did frame it. Yeah, I did. With now Bowen or Kanu, surely he'll get a chance. Knowing Loppy, he'll put Antonio right. That was my idea, Greeno. Probably, yeah, fair enough. Really good performance. Totally agree. Never been decent, but that wasn't the deal leaving. Still being a circus is not acceptable. Yeah, I get that. You know, I think we financially staying at Upton Park, in all honesty, would have meant a rebuild, which would then put pressure on finances. We're financially very well off at the moment. I know that's small mercies, but you know, something needs to happen there. Having worked at Upton Park for 10 years, 12 years, something like that, or even more than that, almost like 15 years, the place was falling apart internally, infrastructurally. So it needed a major rebuild. So yeah, I suppose you got to think we were there for 190 years, whatever. We only been here for 8 seasons, something like that. So, and even Upton Park, we had some very dark days. We've had some relegations. We've had promotions. We've had cup wins, but I suppose it's probably a topic for another discussion, really. Maybe that could be something we could do. Maybe as I think we're going to have the big debate next week, so maybe that could be a question. Has the move worked? Pete, good morning to you. Eddie, good morning. Is it weird that I'm looking forward? I'm always looking forward to it. Is it cold? Gary, I don't know your tolerance. I'm usually a t-shirt man, t-shirt or polo top man. I've put a thin jacket on today, mainly because I think it might rain. But yeah, I think it's going to get nippy, a bit nippy later on. And when the sun goes down, the sun ain't come up really. But do you know what I mean? I would wear a thick, medium-sized coat. Potter in, please. Looking forward. Is fine. It's just the nightmare afterwards that it's the night before Christmas. Would you give the ex-Man United coach a go? Well, I highly doubt he's going to be out of football for long in terms of Ten Hag. I highly doubt it because United job's a poison chalice. We all know that, and to his credit, he did win 2 cups. Do you know what I mean? What would we get for a season, 2 seasons in a row to win 2 cups? And I just think, as I said, I can't see him not being in football for much longer. And, someone like Potter hasn't had a sniff since the Chelsea job. I think it's the Ajax job they offered to him or whatever. And I don't know, we interviewed for. But I think you'll start seeing when potentially there could be a lot of managers and head coaches who are on the chopping block. I still think Gary O'Neill's could be going at Wolves. There's going to be Everton. I think, I think whoever lost today is going to put more pressure on them. Particularly, look at Everton. Everton have got to move to a new ground next year. They can't get the Championship. That was us, wasn't it? And so we had a phenomenal year under Slav in order to make sure we had Premier League football going into the new stadium. And I think Ten Hag is going to be someone whose name is going to come up with a lot of options before too long. New manager, new system, 9 players. This was always going to be the time. At least 10 more games. Go to that's where I've been set at. It's like not necessarily a new system, but I think it's the players, it's the personnel. You've got, and as I said, we've had a system in place which has been going for 4 years, and the likes of Souček and stuff. It's second nature to them to play the David Moyes system, and I've always said, it's always like when they cross the right line here or any West Ham game, it's like they return to factory settings and go back to that way. But it's a really good point, mate. It's all midfield. I agree. Midfield, Toby, is awful. To be fair, TC made a good point on TalkSport saying, if you lose that midfield battle, you're up against it. And, for me, the defence needs a bit sorting. We've sort of sorted the defence, I'd say. It's not, I think the trouble is they're getting more peppered because of the midfield. I think if we tighten that midfield up, it would give the forwards more confidence to stay forward, defenders more support in a defensive perspective. And then you would start seeing a lot more chances being made, a lot less chances us giving as well. It's how it's all been. Prediction for today, and would you take the job if Loppy goes? Always take the job, mate. Morning, mate. Great show as well. Thank you. Love the totally cool-headed views to everything going on around. Well, it's not necessarily. Anyone who watches myself or Anton on the Holly, we're very not fortunate as such, but we have very similar views in terms of that. But if you want a knee, not a knee jerk, but if you want an angry, we've got Irish Tommy, we've got Alf who loves to grumble. So the idea is we try and have a spectrum, because I think that really is. I think the trouble is and it's the same when we had the whole Moyes debate, and it's always going to continue. You hear the most from people either side of the spectrum, but there's a massive gap in the middle who are floaters. On a game-by-game basis, they'll be pissed off, but they might return back to, well, it's a progression. Or they might right up and go, no, I've seen enough. I hope, yeah, across the whole of like West Ham social media, there's something for everyone, and that's what's really important. A platform to allow everyone to talk. As long as it doesn't get nasty. That's always I've always said. You know, I've had a few nasty comments at me this week. Look, it's water for ducks back. I understand people say things, but not when you attack other people for that saying their comments just in the chat. That's not fair. Could be a bit toxic. Yeah, it could be. If we're going down, could see some coins. Who knows? Oh, hopefully not, Gary. I think Loppy brave enough to play. Brave enough. I don't think Loppy. Okay, to play some of the left. I know. I'd like it to be happen. What's wrong with 4-4-2? Players playing in the correct position. We haven't really got them. We spoke about it. There's a worry there from West Ham apparently in terms of Arsenal poaching. I think, to be honest, I think Arsenal would probably go with someone like Leonardo, someone a bit more high. No disrespect to Tim, but someone a little bit more high. I think Tim is still very much cutting his teeth, and that's a big job to take, the Arsenal job. And I think, there's probably about half a dozen names. Monchi. You've got people like Ralph Rangnick could take it. Leonardo. There's a lot of players, a lot of sort of guys who could do it, and I think Tim would be part of that list. They'd be silly not to include Tim in that list, to be honest. But I don't know what his contract stakes. He obviously just brought out his contract. I don't know how long the contract is. We know how long the management contract is in terms of Lopetegui, but not necessarily Tim. So it's a shame. The 21s are on a losing streak. Some of them will have a better chance of playing if things are better for them. Possibly Peter. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a. The fact was, despite reports that Tim hasn't been around the thing, Tim was sitting almost opposite me last Friday watching under 21s. I think he's got a lot of under 21s out, and again, it's again short-term pain for long-term gain. Getting some of putting the Lewis Orford in the squad, which he can't play 90 minutes on for under 21s. Is that going to benefit him? Possibly in some respects, the short term, but you'd want him to get minutes under his game, sending out players out on loan, and I think we'll see next year seeing Freddie Potts integrated into the first team because they didn't. The way they're working with Freddie is the right way to work with these young players, give them the opportunity to go out and play league football week in, week out, and then transition to the first team. If we had the reserves league, the old combinations league, you wouldn't need to rely on that so much. I think realistically, you're looking at the side that's still here. Having watched a lot of them, Lewis, I think Lewis would struggle physically for me at the moment. I think if he was up against an Anana or a Thomas Suchek type player, they would probably eat him for lunch. Possibly, because he's a very fantastic, skillful player, but it's that physicality that I think you sort of need that to be a force in the Premier League for a midfielder. Juno Robinson maybe the right back rather, but we've sort of already got right backs. And then you're looking elsewhere. Sean Moore, no, he's not good enough for me yet to move up. Dan Rigg isn't good enough for me to. There's no. Caden, I don't think strong enough as well. There's definitely sort of a ceiling behind 21s, and it's getting that loan spell which will elevate them. So I can't really see many that I would say, right, he's ready to go in now. To be perfectly honest, and that's not being a detriment to them. Ollie Scars maybe, but Ollie's not playing left back at the moment. He's playing sort of central midfield. So, you'd want him to come in and be left back cover, but he's not playing that position. And they're playing a 3-4-3 formation. So again, that opens a whole another can of worms. I said kettle of worms. Can't deal with the grief when we're playing shit. I'm not ignoring anyone, but I'm driving. There we go. Come on, your wine, says Phil. Right, let's go for a few more comments. Good morning. 5:13. You need to film yourself going down the escalator. There's no, I don't feel I think I am very much too heavy for that. Injuries and Dyche could be undoing today. Paquet's not playing. No one's playing well, really. From an attacking perspective, I think I'm going to walk and talk. I think the only one who's playing, as I said, the only one who I think has played consistently well throughout the whole of throughout this season so far has been Max Kilman. And when your centre half is the most, consistent player, that's not a great sign, is it? Really thinking about it, in all honesty. I think Wan-Bissaka's come and played well since he's joined, but I would say that Max has probably been. I mean, he's played every minute, and he hasn't been subbed or anything. Phil 2-2. That's what I said to Kane Town then yesterday. I was like, a Thomas Souček 89th minute bundle into the box could be great. Looking forward to that one. Bundling in a goal line scramble. That would do me. Going to be a slog today. You're totally right. I mean, to be honest, midfield, I think you're pretty assured what the midfield's going to be. I think you're going to be seeing, Rodriguez and Souček and one other in that midfield, and then probably I know I would want Guilherme on the right hand side. I've got a feeling they're going to jiggly poke it all around and put someone in, like put a Soler there, and sort of pack that midfield out a little bit. But again, we'll wait and see. Get down the bookies and bet on Pac-Man to get booked. Now, this is my theory, Peter. I don't think he'll get booked today because he's on 4 yellow cards already. I think he'll get booked to the Newcastle game, and then he'll be suspended for the Leicester City game, when actually I don't think he might be playing anyway, because he'll be in Brazil potentially at the that's when the hearing got adjourned to. So that would make sense, wouldn't it? That would make perfect sense. Yes, do, but we'll see. But how many times have you say that some of it had to and didn't? Goes, who could take our squad here on I'm here for payday players and get them to play as a team? It's a good point. I mean, you think about it, there's a lot of people. There's just a lot of, I suppose it's about sort of how you think people can, in terms of managers, motivators and stuff. And I think the issue for me is, if we decide to get someone like, a firefighter to come in, then we're back to square one. So, you think you bring someone in who's forward-thinking, progressive, but whether they would take the job at the moment, that's the issue. We don't help as fans as well, in terms of, anyone who's a progressive manager will be on social media and will watch and see what the vibe of the club is, and the vibe's not good for amongst the fan base at the moment. There's no positivity, and rightly so. So, for me, I worry that you'd end up getting a firefighter. One person who won't get probably is David Moyes, but that sort of, and also who would pick that one? If Tim picked it, or if it was a Sullivan pick. Again, it's all these things to, where we are now compared to where we could be in 2-3 weeks' time, is completely up for debate. You could potentially have a new head coach and lose a director of football if he goes to Arsenal. So it's always something going on in West Ham, isn't there? I hope you're well. Just played a team of men and lost. They did indeed. Yes, Howard's mug's come, but Collins hasn't come. Howard, when did your mug come? Because I want to know. Because Collins' mug hasn't come yet. So at least your one's come. John, good morning to you. Whoever's in the rationale will be the replacement in question. Still disagree with you that the squad is better. We have no proper striker. We had no proper striker before, mate. The defence is shit. I disagree. I would say Max Kilman and Jean-Claire Todibo are far better defenders as constantly injured Kurt Zuma and Naviged. Not Naviged now, he's played fucking good. I would say Wan-Bissaka is better than Soufal. But we haven't had any strikers, I'll give you that, because one's injured. There's half a chance finally playing the rest of the players in their correct positions. No, not at all. I think we're in trouble as well. We'll wait and see. By the way, looks like rain today for sure. There we go. Bowen trained yesterday. Okay, we'll wait and see. If Krajicki introduced to put a halt to spending, is that undermining from Sullivan because of it? No, I think the idea of Krajicki was he was very much adamant that he was going to bring in a proper director of football, and I think that's a good idea. And I think it has been a good idea. I think on paper it makes perfect sense. It puts us in that sort of big boy club mentality, and it was funny. I was reading my wife. My wife's she's writing an essay, and they talk about retention levels and things like that in HR, and that takes time. There's no immediate, and I think we all assumed it was going to be right. We're going to put wave a magic wand and cut the transfer windows. Bosh, we're there. It's taking time, and as I said, it's still going to take even more time because you've still got you've still got you've still got 5. As I said, in the summer, you've still got 5 people out. You've got 5, first teamers are going to be out of contracts as well. So that's more rebuilding. So it is a project. No to keep it simple, no fancy tactics or high lines yet. Fair play. David Essie sums up. Oh, what a circus. Oh, you say Pac-Man chooses when he wants. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is I can see. I don't think Kevin Nolan used to get booked in just for Christmas, just so he would then have Christmas off. G'day, mate. Totally waste of time. G'day, mate. Is not a waste of money, Steve. And again, respectfully, I disagree. He's a very good player, but he's a very good player for the next 18 months. He's one for the future. And I think, in all honesty, again, no disrespect, Steve, I think that's a small club mentality. Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, they buy players for a lot of money and don't play them for maybe 18 months, 2 years. Might send them out on loan or whatever. And that's the whole idea. When we had Tim Vickery, who is an expert in South American football, basically say, you buy them now for potential, not for now. And he's an expert. Fulkrug, I think you're probably right there. Again, I agree with that one. I just think he's been unfortunate with injuries for him. I mean, as I said, he hadn't been injured until really severely for a good few years. And that's been unfortunate. What we've got here. If you're arriving by card today, remember to move hubcaps and stereos. That double pivot, I think it'll be a triple. There's a replacement, and if there is a replacement, I'd like to see Sergio Conceição. Risking it. I mean, he's done it in Portugal. Would that type of football transcend the Premier League? Same with Ruben Amorim. We don't know either, do we? Tuesday morning. Oh, okay. Thank you. Maybe they've just been lost in transit. See a day, a director when he works at clubs that give him total control of recruitment. Again, I don't know how the Brighton model works. I don't know. We only see our little bubble, pardon the pun, of how it all works, and we assume this and that, and other clubs do this and that. We don't know, do we? We just don't know. I agree, but and I think that's a hangover from previous regimes as well, where Sullivan has always been involved in the recruitment process, and so maybe there's a learning for him as well to try and release it a little bit. And don't forget he's got people like Danny Krasinski not bearing down his neck, but right next to him. So there's always the opportunity for people to have words with one another if need be. Definitely a new keeper. I agree. God bless. Give me the pre-match trenches, walk and talk. There you go. Mate, there's a lot worse things going on in the world, isn't there? Today is also going to be a remembrance game. You got to think life, death, all that type of stuff. Life, death, and taxes. This is our pastime. It's not the be and end all in life. I think sometimes we think it is, but it ain't. And it can really make an impact. If you have a really bad game or a really good game, it helps helps the rest of the day. But honestly, it's just a game, isn't it? And we all love that club, and we all want to see that club do well. And it frustrates us when it's not doing well. Particularly, there's nothing that we physically can do about it. We can't get on the pitch and score a goal. We can't select the team. We can't buy the players. But inevitably, all those decisions make a difference to how well we do here. It's very deep, isn't it? How much compo would you get? I don't know actually, but obviously we do get a lot of compo. Not a lot, but we do get some now because of the whole issues with. It's gone over. Is it 28 days or something like that? We'll make. It certainly would do. Certainly would do. If we do lose today by Loppy, no manager with a brain would take the job. Guilherme's ain't sure, but there's a future. Anybody can play. No, you're not. Will. So I said, stop being nasty. I agree. Better players, but a minus goal difference. Our minus goal, Steve. If we're looking at stats, our goal difference is better than the corresponding games to last year by 2 goals. So therefore, this defence is better statistically than the others. So you're wrong. Don't we go down the stats route? Never forget, indeed. Can you play the birdie song if we lose? Yeah, okay, mate. Yeah, makes sense, Gary. And I get sacked. Thanks. Unbelievable. Some people just think I could just play anything. I'm going to get sacked if we play the birdie song. Anyway, keep an eye on the channel. Starting 11 show, all that good stuff coming up as well. Match day live, and then we'll do the review show afterwards. Hopefully talking about a victory and a demoralisation of Everton by West Ham. Yeah, definitely happen. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you irons. Much love. Bye bye.